You're listening to Puma Podcast.
If the idea is to take a legacy organization and instead of putting out its output on a printed newspaper or free-to-air broadcast TV and just simply putting that same output in digital format, retaining the same organizational structure, pare, wala yun. Okay. Wala yun. Hindi mag-work yun. Kasi ang costs sa digital, cost structure is different. The revenues are different. It will have to be more than just migrating content.
Example.
Diba?
What happens when a legacy newsroom comes to a digital crossroads? In this episode of Teka Teka, we speak with journalist Daxim Lucas about his recent piece reflecting on the Philippine Daily Inquirer's historic shift, merging its print and digital operations in its biggest transformation in nearly 40 years. From newsroom culture to digital disruption, Dax offers a rare behind-the-scenes look at the strategic challenges and opportunities that have shaped the Inquirer's evolution. It is a story not just about one media company. It's about how journalism itself is adapting in an era of rapid change. Can old institutions thrive in this new digital age? And what lessons can the rest of the media learn? Okay, so we're here with Daxim Lucas. Editor, founder of Insider PH?
Yeah, well, founder and CEO. But on the editorial side, my colleague and I are both senior reporters.
Okay.
So that's right.
And one of the, as a reporter, as a senior reporter, Dax just posted a story about something that made the news recently. Inquirer basically merging the parent company, the Philippine Daily Inquirer.
Yeah, what happened was the company in charge of the print operations was actually shut down. It was shut down. Everyone was retrenched, and some were hired into the digital outfit, and the digital outfit assumed the print operations of the defunct Philippine Daily Inquirer.
Okay.
So the surviving entity is called, I think, Inquirer Interactive, which publishes Inquirer.net.
No, but but essentially, it's the digital company that survives.
Correct.
And absorbs the old media company.
Yes.
Diba?
And some of the people too.
Oh, sige. Now, I'm interviewing Dax on two levels. I reached out to him because I read this article sa Insider PH. I'm interviewing you in two contexts. One is, no pun intended, I'm interviewing you as a former insider. Diba? Sa Inquirer. Because you were a senior journalist there also, particularly sa business department. But also, now as insider, you're an outsider now.
Yes.
So when you wrote that, were you writing that as an insider? What's your objective framing of that? Were you an insider? Were you an outsider when you wrote that?
Yeah. An outsider's point of view now with residual insights from my time in the inside.
No, but residual included intimate knowledge of certain things?
Very intimate in some cases. In some cases, not everything, right? Specifically, like when I mentioned the transaction in the failed transaction in 2017, 2018, mga ganon. I had semi-intimate knowledge of those things. And when I first thought of writing this piece, and I ran it by our common friend, and sabi niya, I mean, who else would be in that position to write something like that, if not you, given your unique experiences there, you know? Sabi ko, okay, sige, for sure, this will harvest some brickbats from some sectors. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. But I was hoping to resonate with some people, some of my former colleagues who went through that, you know? And It did. It did.
Sige. Okay. Let's go straight to your insights, your assessment of what happened. And to be clear also, we're both alumni of Inquirer. That's where I started my career. Not as long, I think, as you were there. But that's where I started also. And we have common friends there. But the reason it's fascinating to me is actually because I think yung mga sinulat mo and your insights and what they went through is not necessarily all that special, in the sense that I think every newsroom can relate to the things that you wrote.
Tama. It really cuts across the industry we're in nowadays. I guess the difference is timing lang. Nauna dito, na-relate dito. One is just starting to feel it now. Yeah, but it does resonate across many of our colleagues.
But that said, nung pinost mo to and you shared it, ang caption mo, not the headline, yung caption mo was, "This move is too late." It's late, but not too late.
Correct.
So describe first the move. What does the move mean?
The move is shifting the primacy of the operations from the legacy unit to the one that has a long-term future. Diba? If done right.
Yeah.
Because it was clear to some elements in the organization some years ago that limited na ang buhay nitong print side. I mean, it was on a decline, but it was a slow decline. The slope was it wasn't like this, diba? So this one tends to give people hope na baka mamaya may inflection point pa yan. But so yeah, that was happening, and as early as I'd say the 2010s, and it came to a head around 2015. There was a genuine push, right, from leadership and management, to make these changes, and it was
digital first.
Yeah, it was a decent effort siya. I mean, maganda yung strategy as laid out in theory and in paper.
This was around
2015 when it really crystallized into a coherent, executable strategy.
Okay.
Right. I remember the meeting. Some division heads were there. The late Letty Magsonac was there, right? And Christian, of course, Christian Esguerra was also there, and siya medyo forward-leaning yung views niya on digitalization, which was really embraced by the leadership. So there was a coherent strategy, right? And there was a path going forward for execution. But siyempre, theory and practice often diverge, and that became apparent in the months after that meeting. That implementation, execution would take more than just pep talks. It really needed impetus from the top, and it needed to be resourced. It needed to be resourced, diba?
And there was neither impetus nor resource, or was there just resistance?
Meron eh. I mean, syempre, the Inquirer wasn't swimming in money, right? But resources were made available. Okay, maybe let's say if we needed 100
million,
hypothetical. If we needed 100 pesos, there was 75 to 80. Not bad, right? So the resistance came from various levels within the organization, from some elements of management all the way to the rank and file, And again, completely understandable, given that you've been running a successful operation for
You were the incumbent.
number one. You're the incumbent. It's been working for 30 years, 3 decades, diba? Why change now? I mean, diba, hindi naman lahat ng tao nasa labas nakikita yung future, right? When you're in the inside, you see things working.
But you said kanina that the move was to let digital take primacy over.
Yes.
But was it just primacy or let digital take over, period? Kasi primacy suggests na digital first, legacy second. But
Correct.
But aren't we in fact
Correct.
at an age where actually hindi, it's not about who's first, who said there's only one.
I did not verbalize it this way back then, but in my mind, it should have been everything to digital, right? All in na. Pero syempre, the feeling was that we can do this together in parallel, or shifting would be more gradual rather than revolutionary, And that is also understandable given the bulk of the revenues was still coming from print. Yung isang full-page ad on a Sunday, ang nominally, that's 500 pag Sunday, full color, di ba? I mean, on that's the nominal rate, right? May discounts pa yun. But 500 grand on the digital side, baka isang taon na display ads yun. Di ba? Isang araw lang sa print yan. So,
because the way I put it is, even the agencies have bad habits. Diba?
Sure.
Agencies, advertisers, this was around the second, about 2017, you said? Maybe. At around that time, even the agencies and even the advertisers were still servicing their habits they didn't want to let go of.
Correct.
Diba?
Correct.
They knew how to place ads in legacy media.
Sure.
They didn't quite figure out yet, the coming of the influencers, the content creators, and so on.
And that's a very lucrative business, by the way, di ba? Merong incentive system, meron kang what do you call that? Like you get a percentage of the sales, meron kang commission.
Oh, may commission.
It's lucrative. It works.
Versus programmatic ads, walang commissions doon. That's
wala. Yeah. So that went on for a while.
So in a way, the agencies, for a time, the agencies and legacy media were enabling each other to
Absolutely.
keep the status quo.
Correct. That was the bread and butter on both sides of the pole. So I could see why there was resistance to a shift. So preserve muna natin to. Total, ang profit margin sa digital very thin to non-existent.
But why is that resistance so crucial when, as you said, there was buy-in from the leaders, there's buy-in from below? Whoever is resisting must be very, very powerful. They're That's essentially when you say they were too. Everybody was saying it, but they were too late in just implementing. That's the owners.
You believe it or not, yung owners were at the head of the pack, right? They wanted the change they were pushing for the change to move at a faster pace. That's the sense I was getting. Part of the problem was that almost every player in the Inquirer ecosystem back then was a superstar in his own right. Diba? Sigaya mga yan. All the editors, kilala, brand name editors, diba? And the journalists were some of the best in the industry, right? And these were not voices you would dismiss outright, right? And the Inquirer had a very strong union, which advocated for the rights of the employee, rightly so, right? So in between these three groups, medyo mahirap na. The constant issue, the recurring issue, for example, with requiring reporters back then to break news online was yung pay. Paano, wala naman sa usapan natin, wala naman sa union, di ba? Wala sa original JD ko. I mean, ang usapan was by 5 p.m., 2 stories a day.
To be clear, when you say union, this is on the legacy side.
Yes, correct.
The digital is not unionized.
It's not. As far as I know, it's not. Right? So you are now requiring journalists who have a 2-story a day quota. Of course, many of them do more than that. But you are now requiring them to break the news at 10 in the morning, whereas before, they would use that time to gather, right? To gather. And then,
you have a news story at 12, you have
pag-upo mo ng
first draft at 2, and then
pag-upo mo ng alas 6, papagandahin mo yung prose mo, di ba? Now you're saying, you know what? We just need 3 paragraphs from you. Yun na yun. And then, your scoop, your exclusive na inaalagaan mo for the next day, it's out for it. Sorry.
Okay lang. Podcast to.
It's out for everyone to see now. For everyone to try to catch up with you and outscoop your scoop, right? That's tough. That's tough. I felt that myself. Di ba? Parang, teka.
Sinusulat mo pa lang, people are following the Twitter account of some senator in a Senate hearing or somebody who's sitting there and buo na yung kwento nila.
You got it. So, I can't blame the reporters either for insisting on being compensated for extra work, for example. That was a valid concern. Although, in hindsight, perhaps it would have been better to look past that concern. Kasi nga, 'di ba, meron ng nascent signs of decline sa industry. You really needed to invest forward in new practices, new habits, new skills, looking beyond getting paid for submitting, extra work.
And that's the part that takes us to where we are right now. Kasi digital na primarily.
Right. Now everyone's doing that.
Diba? Ganun na. Yan na yung job description.
Wala na extra paper. Wala na yan.
Now, we discussed the move, di ba? But you said this move is late, di ba? And you discussed also why you say it's late.
Yeah.
But then your third part of your caption is that, but it's not too late.
Right.
Why is it not too late for
right.
acquirers?
Okay, so you've seen the numbers. The digital side is a dominant player in the local news ecosystem, right? It's neck and neck with GMA7, or nauna yung GMA, but they're there, diba? Lumalaban siya. So that is worth something, right? That's something you can leverage off going forward. That lead.
Your market.
You're
still an incumbent.
Yeah, in a sense, right? Your market share is substantial.
Your audience share.
Your audience share, correct? I'll remember audience share. Okay, so this is something you can leverage off going forward with the right practices, with the right strategy, the right habits, right? Everyone becomes multimedia. Everyone starts breaking on the fly, which they've been doing, by the way. So it's great. It gives
Kahit naman dati, in fairness.
Correct.
Even there, people had the habit also of following Inquirer among, a group of media companies that they trusted, and that had, veteran and really good journalists that they could trust, diba? So even before.
Yes. Yeah. So it's, if you look at the positives of the surviving organization now, ang daming positives. And
what? It's leaner.
Pare, I'd put that number one, right? Lean, and the cost structure is
Simpler.
You know,
So,
it's overall cheaper. I mean, sorry na lang for the staff who had to come in at, at lower levels, but from a business perspective, right? I would imagine the cost structure now is more efficient. And that was the issue with the print side, di ba? Medyo mahal eh. So automatically, yung bagahe mo, di ba? Tinabi mo
you
na.
don't have newsprint. You don't
Correct. Sad for my colleagues who were on the print side, but the surviving entity now is lighter and more, hopefully more agile, right? That's a great thing. That's what we need in this environment.
It looks closer to what a digital media company should look like.
It's closer to the idea they had
In 2017.
8 years ago, di ba? So, di ba? Kung na-transition mo yun in, say, 2 years, 3, di ba? Going into the pandemic, wow. Galing sana, di ba? So, and a lot of pain would have been, a lot of the pain that was felt now could have been eased in over a 2 or 3 year period, right?
Like I said, the reason that I wanted to talk to you about this is one because it's a good read. It's a fascinating read, and people should go to Insider PH to read your article on it. As like I said, from an insider's perspective, but also now as an outsider, you have your own independent media company now. But the other thing for me, that the reason why it's important to talk about this, why not only is Inquirer part of our history. They've been the incumbent for, we would say since the 1980s, even before People Power.
Correct. 39 years.
But also beyond that is that this story is not actually just about the Inquirer.
Correct.
Like I said, I know some people may have gotten hurt or probably, I can't imagine how our friends are messaging you.
Syempre, di ba?
But the reason I could read it and see na actually every newsroom I think has gone through this, or is going through this, or should go through this, or if you don't think you should, you will still go through this.
Right. It is simultaneously a cautionary tale. It is a roadmap of sorts, a guide, and I'd say a message of hope.
Yeah.
Right?
But don't you think that the roadmap that, as you said, ito yung feeling namin tama noong 2017. Even from 2017 to 2025, even that roadmap has become obsolete on certain corners. Yeah, we didn't have. You had independent, we call them vloggers. Before, but now the whole category of content creators, diba? Not even influencers. I think even the word influencers, nalampasan na rin natin. Even the influencers don't want to be called influencers. But now you have this phenomenon of independent content creators. Christian is obviously a category leader there. He took that leap and so on. It's a prime example. And then literally thousands.
Correct.
Across different genres, no? So, ano yung not taking the model, but learning from 2017 in terms of looking at a new strategy and implementing it as quickly as possible to now 2025, that now also requires new strategies, regardless of what those strategies and realities are. What's the takeaway for a media company?
Okay.
Especially for somebody who's trying to...
Right.
Who's taking the risk to fall flat on your face despite everything that you're... I mean, we're both media startup owners now.
Correct.
Despite all the stuff, we have no pretensions that we're going to make it. But what do you think is the lesson for both of us and for everybody?
Your question had the answer, okay? And I'll get back to that. The image that comes to mind is this: you're driving a car on a foggy road, right? So kung clear day yan, ang visibility mo 5 kilometers. There's thick fog. You turn on your fog lights and your visibility is 20 feet. That's the extent of what you can see now, right? And the rest of it, we are, I heard this line before. It's like driving forward using your rear view mirror. Diba? That's what that article was. It's a retrospective, diba?
Your vision is, diba? Vision is 2020.
Oh, palikod, diba? Pero yung forward, because of you mentioned the pace of change and advancement, yung dating 5-kilometer visibility mo now is 20-30 feet. So it is important that you execute very fast within that 30-40 feet visibility you have,
But
diba?
you still don't know where you're going.
Ay, well, yun. Wala talaga.
You can hope for within every 20 feet.
Na tama yun.
And not only that, na wala, hindi ka mabangga muna.
Kung may kurbada, adjust ulit. That's I think
That's a great metaphor.
that's the new reality. I don't think we will ever be able to sit on our asses for 3 decades again. You and I, man. We will unfortunately have to be on our toes every single day.
Every single second. By that metaphor. No, but I like that metaphor. Na we can only see 20 feet ahead of us. And we're turning every 20 feet. You're adjusting your steering.
Hindi mo alam yung kurbada eh. Diba? So, kung minsan, diretso. Kung minsan may hairpin. What do you do, right? So,
unlike before that you not only can see 5 kilometers away, you can have a map in front of you and then map out the strategy, map out where I'm going to turn, map out where this is uphill, this is downhill.
And that map was even handed down to you by your ano pa.
You could follow it.
So, and because the danger here is that, no, it's not a danger. The situation is that there are other players, right? They're not journalists. They are informally trained or not trained at all, who are that agile. They can turn on a dime within the 20-foot visibility,
yes,
right?
Because literally the competitors are individuals.
Individuals. Yeah.
I mean, you can literally take a turn because
Right.
you don't have to consult. I mean, going back to your story, you don't have to consult anybody above you and below
Correct.
you. You don't have to consult any colleagues. You can decide to stop if you want. You can decide to turn here and mukbang videos muna.
Yeah,
Wait,
yeah.
if I have to.
No.
Or I'll follow TikTok trends.
A lot
And
of-
that's what TikTok trends does, by the way.
Correct.
You're literally looking at what TikTok said was trending for the last 24 hours.
Tama.
And you can adjust your strategy literally every day.
So yeah, 20 feet. No, and a lot of these voices out there, okay? Siyempre, marami sa kanila basura yung laman. But correct me if I'm wrong. A lot of these people are actually, I'd say they're better than some of our journalism colleagues, right? I mean, mas magaling sa pag-deliver ng message. Some are even more thorough, more disciplined. Diba? We no longer have the monopoly that we used to enjoy for the last, few decades or so. It's really been democratized in that sense,
Yeah,
right?
but and I agree. Diba? Parang any Gen Z, any millennial right now is a better publisher on social media than any journalist.
Okay, all right. I concede. Yeah, sure.
But just going back to wrap this up, going back to what you said kanina, na we can produce and we can still have our reach the same way that Inquirer and all digital media now can still have the reach.
Yeah.
But the revenue models don't scale.
Wala.
Diba? Like
Wala
the revenue models can support a content creator or maybe a team of 3 or 5.
A compact
Diba?
team,
A
yeah.
compact team. But to your point, does that mean that not only can anybody who aspires to be a media company can no longer plan for 5 years ahead, but does that mean also that that anybody who aspires to be a media company cannot actually aspire to be a big company.
Okay. 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 If one maintains one's scruples, it becomes more of a challenge, actually. If you hold fast to the true tenets of journalism, it becomes more challenging to build a sustainable business, right? So, ang maganda dito, I feel we're all on a great adventure to find out what this revenue model, to discover what this working revenue model will be. Because right now, I don't think anyone has figured it out yet. Di ba? Parang wala kang...
Like I said, beyond a certain scale, no.
Yeah.
Diba?
Yes.
But at the scale of an individual content creator,
madali yun.
who will say, whether
Madali
people
yun.
agree with him or her or not, who will say that I'm doing journalism the best way I know how, and the best way I think people have said how journalism should. But on an individual level, it's just, we know a lot of people. I mean,
Pwede yun.
we mentioned Christian.
Yeah.
There are
May award na siya sa YouTube.
we have former journalists from mainstream media companies. Jackie Manabat is one example.
Right.
A lot of people who are crossing over and saying that, okay, I'll be a content creator, and
That works.
that works.
That can work.
Yes, but as soon as they say,
Get past a certain head count.
I need support in parang and if this does happen, as soon as they say I need producers beside me and I need reporters beside me and I need a biz dev person to do the sales.
Yun na.
I hate the sales.
Yep.
And there are
That
ethical
costs money.
questions
That
I don't
costs
wanna
money.
cross. Then we're getting back to the same. You're ironically backing yourself into the situation that you wanted to.
Correct. In other words, if the idea is to take a legacy organization and instead of putting out its output on a printed newspaper or free-to-air broadcast TV and just simply putting that same output in digital format, retaining the same organizational structure, pare, wala yun. Wala yun. Hindi mag-work yun. Kasi ang costs sa digital, cost structure is different. The revenues are different. It will have to be more than just migrating
I have an
content.
example
Diba?
of that. I was talking to friends from ABS-CBN, for example. The telenovelas that they post on digital is still getting billions of views in a year. If you take all the episodes together, and so it's still getting billions. Yeah.
But
The production quality and the production expense is the same, but the digital ad revenue that you get is a
small fraction.
very small fraction
Yeah.
of what. And so
Yeah.
in terms of reach and impact and audience, it's there. Diba? The business doesn't follow, the revenue doesn't
Nakakatakot,
follow.
ano?
Diba?
Nakakatakot.
Oo nga.
Yeah, so no, again, our colleagues, we are all on this discovery process, right?
Right? But ito na lang yung huling tanong ko. So had the Inquirer, and they are now, as I said, it's just an example, of is the latest and honestly right now the most important example that we're talking about. Had they implemented that strategy that you felt was more sound in 2017?
Right. 8
Looking
years
back
ahead.
now, we can actually say that there was still no guarantee that they would not have.
None.
They would still have come to this same
None
situation.
at all. There would have been less pain, less frustration, less broken hearts in that sense, it would have been painful pa rin, di ba? Pero tingin ko it would have been kung may sugat yon, parang ayaw din ang gamot na hindi masyadong masakit. Kesa 8 years later, kailangan ng agua oxenada, pare. Kumukulo na yung sugat mo, di ba? No, so basically, doing it earlier would have been a pain management exercise, right? The transition could have been managed.
It would have been biting the bullet. But you still would have no guarantees that
None.
we would still have
None.
to amputate some.
No, you would have. For sure. For sure, di ba? For sure. You just, siguro, mas lang, pinatulog ka muna or, di ba? For sure. The pain would have been there one way or another. Right? And pero nandiyan na yan eh. Nandiyan na yan eh. Di ba? And you know, I genuinely wish them well. Ang dami kong...
So if there's no guarantees for all of us, and this is a message to your potential investors and sponsors, why would they support us? Why would they support you if you can't do hey, what's your pitch? From one startup to another.
Okay.
What's your pitch if you're now on record as saying, I actually can't plan beyond 20 feet? And even if I think I have the right strategy, there are no guarantees in this industry anymore.
Very easy. What do you have to lose? The amount that we're talking about is a drop in the bucket, right? It's a drop in the bucket compared to your billions in revenues, trillions in one case, right? So it's a hedge. It's a hedge, right? Here is a communication outfit, a communication channel that may or may not work, right? Yeah. A bet on me is a small bet. Parang venture cap lang, pare, di ba? Maglagay ka ng bet sa 10 tao, baka isa lang ang papatok. And the rest, cost of doing business yan. Yeah. Di ba?
By the way, you can bet on me also.
Siya muna.
No, but thank you, Dax. Like I said,
pleasure.
It was great, and I want to emphasize also, you know, we were both from the Inquirer, we're both products of the Inquirer, and I really felt that this is not. It's just another really important occasion and excuse to talk about what everybody is going through, not just the Inquirer. But thank you, and again, your article in Dax, you can find it on insider.ph.
InsiderPH.com.
InsiderPH.com. And follow InsiderPH.com.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Maraming salamat.
Maraming salamat. Okay.